Must adhere to and abide by professional courtroom decorum. So that means no smoking, no drinking, no eating, no lying in bed, no driving. Can't be at the dentist's office, can't be at the doctor's office. Find some place where you're comfortable, be seated, be still, and please be mindful of your background noise and your background environment.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Judge Tangela Berry. I'm the judge for Division 10. This is our emergency matter on a domestic case, the matter of Wade versus Thomas. So I received a motion asking for an emergency hearing. I only have a few minutes to determine the emergency nature of it, and also if the court is willing to put some temporary parameters in place. But Ms. Holloway, I think you filed that motion. You have the court's attention.
Thank you, Your Honor, for giving us this time to address you. As we kind of stated in the motion, there have been some things that have occurred since the parties had their final hearing, which is in October of last year, that my client believed that should be brought to the court's attention. Specifically, there have been several, Ms. Thomas has been arrested several times, and he thought that the court would want to know that information because he believes that it pertains to her ability to provide some stability for the minor children. When she has been arrested for these things, if the children are in her custody, the children would have to go with someone else or to Mr. Way. All of these criminal cases have not been resolved. It's my understanding at least two of them are still open, one in DeKalb County, at least, as well as one that is pending in Houston County. Houston County is a felony, which she's obviously alleged innocent until proven guilty. But in the event that she is proven guilty, that potentially may have some prison time. In addition to those,
let's go to the emergency issue. I mean, those are matters that we can take up at another time.
Right.
Tell me what's going on now wherein this is urgent for the court to address.
And I was going to get into that, but the minor child that the court requested be on the Zoom is here. So okay. I didn't know if you wanted me to address it in front of her or how you wanted to handle that portion.
Right, great. Ms. Marshall, if you'll put the minor child, I'm assuming that's Kalea. Kaylee, we're going to place you in a waiting room. So you'll go there, just wait there, and we'll bring you back in shortly. Okay. All right, hold on for a second. Ms. Marshall will take you to that room. Okay, she's already done it. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Holloway.
Okay. And it's my understanding that on or about January 15th, there was an incident that occurred at Ms. Thomas's home involving her and the minor child that was just excused. From what I understand, that there may have been a boy involved. I don't know if the boy was in the house or something happened where Ms. Thomas may have gotten angry at the minor child for something that she did. As a result of that, there was an altercation where the minor child says that she was punched in the face and that there were some bruising. One of Ms. Thomas's relatives reached out to Mr. Way so that he can come get the minor children from Ms. Thomas's care. The police were called. Ms. Thomas was not arrested for that. DFAX was called. I'm unsure of what was determined, but I believe that case has been closed. Mr. Way's concern is that there has been kind of ongoing friction with Ms. Thomas and this particular minor child. Ms. Thomas has pled guilty in the past to family violence against Mr. Way. There is a 3-year protective order that is still currently in place in addition to that criminal case. And so his concern is that now these actions are being extended to the child. Even though Ms. Way was not arrested and there is no criminal case, she did strike the child, and the minor child did reach out because she wanted to speak with you directly, Your Honor. And so she emailed our office, and so we attached her email to the petition as well. If Your Honor wanted to speak with her.
Okay. What is she saying happened to her?
She said, and she said it in her email, that Ms. Thomas punched her, bruises to her face, that Ms. Thomas takes out her anger on the minor child, and she doesn't feel safe there at home with Ms. Thomas.
Okay, you started by saying there was something about a boy, and then you said,
I believe that was the subject of why they got into that particular altercation on that day.
okay, that a boy was in the house, or that they were talking about a boy.
And that's what the parties can, if you'd like. It's my understanding that there may have been a boy in the house, but I'm hearing it secondhand, and so the parties can Ms. Thomas maybe can elaborate on the subject of the argument.
And you said she was punched in the eye and that there were bruises. Were they visible bruises? Because generally when you call the police, if there are visible bruises, something generally happens. Did she indicate that were there visible bruises that you could see, or you have any pictures of it?
Your Honor, I do not have any pictures of them. My client did not provide me with them.
Are there pictures?
And Mr. Way I can swear him in and have him testify as to whether he took pictures.
But generally right now, you're not aware.
I'm not aware, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Thomas, what's your position on this?
Your Honor, I never hit Kaylee. She was talking to a little boy on the phone. You hear me?
Let me just swear you in real quick.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give to the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead.
On January the 15th, Kaylee was talking to some little boy, I guess, on Zoom. And when I was talking to her, I was telling her that we was finna go. We was going somewhere. And she didn't want to go, and she was talking to the little boy on the phone. And I said, Kaylee, come on, you need to come on, let's go. And so the boy was like, yeah, you need to tell your mom to shut the F up and stay in her place. So I said, Kaylee, give me your phone. So she was like, no, I'm not giving you my phone because my dad said you don't have to, it's my phone. I don't have to give you my phone. So after that, so she wound up eventually giving me the phone after I kept saying, Kaylee, give me the phone. So next thing I know, the police come to the house because I wasn't here. I had left. Me and the youngest daughter, Sharia. Me and her had left. And when I got back, I was out and about, and my grandmother called me and said that the police was here. So I'm like, what the police at the house for? And he talked to me on the phone, and he said that it was a accusation that Kaylee supposed to have got punched in the face with a phone, and she's supposed to have bruises. But he said he didn't see anything on her, and he said that since she was a minor, that he couldn't arrest her because she had to have some points. In Georgia, they have now where a minor to order to send in a juvenile, they had to accumulate points. And he told me that I need to go to the juvenile justice department because the police have been here multiple times last year for the same incident with Kaylee and her dad calling the police on me.
What now?
The police have been here multiple times last year because it's always when I tell Kaylee she can't do something or I take Kaylee's phone, she'll get in touch with her dad through the email, and he'll have the police come to the house, as well as he'll have defects come to the house. So I guess he took her to the emergency room, I guess the same day. And 2 days later, the defects came to the house saying that there was an accusation that Kaylee supposed to have got hit in the face with a phone. So the defects case is still open. And she's like, she talked to Kayla and she talked to the other minor child, which is Sharia. And Kayla had said and told her exactly what happened with the little boy on the telephone. And I had got her, and I took her phone from her. So they put in a place to where that I got the paper in the house. That it was that they didn't want to take them, that they didn't see nothing wrong with what was going on in the house. It was the kids weren't in no danger.
Okay. So how do you think it's the best way to resolve the issue?
So I had asked her to give I asked her to give Kaylee therapy and counseling for individual and separately. And she's agreed, as well as the supervisor agreed. And we're supposed to start Monday.
Okay.
And I also found out as well today when I requested Kaylee history report from the hospital, and I requested it yesterday, and they sent me back an email today stating that she's pregnant. And I'm trying to figure out how she's pregnant when I don't let Kaylee go anywhere.
You got a medical report saying she's pregnant?
Yes, yes. And my kids don't go anywhere. I don't let my kids go nowhere. I don't let them go to nobody's house. And I was trying to figure out why nobody let me know when he took her to the emergency room that they found out that she was pregnant. I had to find out through a record that I requested.
And it's on the record she's pregnant. You're sure of that?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Wade, were you aware of that?
No, ma'am. Because she wasn't given a pregnancy test or anything. And the only thing they did diagnose her with the bruises, with a face contusion and head injury from what happened to her earlier that day. So the pregnancy test is something new to me.
Do you have pictures of the?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, I do. I thought I uploaded everything. I have the hospital report. I thought I uploaded everything to Miss Holloway, and that was on me. I thought everything was uploaded, but I have pictures and everything. I have the medical report and all that goes along with that. I have no problem with
what does the
uploading
pictures depict? What do the pictures depict?
A cut on her face, and like cuts on her lips. And when I went to the hospital, her face was swollen, the left side of her face, where she said she was hit in the face with a phone. Because the situation was she called me from her grandfather.
So you're saying that she was hit multiple times in the face? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, she said she was punched and she was hit with a phone. I got the email. Like, she emailed me that day, and her younger sister, called me and told me that they were fighting. And Kayla didn't call me from her phone. She called me from her uncle's phone, and he allowed her to tell me what was going on. And so
my uncle wasn't at home. Nobody at home.
Miss Thomas Wade, don't interrupt.
Sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I do apologize because I have the phone number in my phone because it's a number that I didn't recognize, and I almost didn't answer it, but I'm glad that I did. And she said that her uncle gave her the phone so she can contact me. Because the younger sister called me prior to them arguing, because I could hear them in the background going back and forth. The youngest daughter told me, Sherry told me what was going on, that it was an altercation between her and Miss Thomas about a boy's, the situation with what the boy was saying. That's what everybody's saying that was that. And I said, I understand that. I can't argue. I don't condone what the child said, but I do condone the actions that go along with that, because she called me, both children called me, text me. Yeah, I have emails, so that's why I called to see what was going on. And when the initial officer, he didn't see anything, but I noticed something, and I took my child to the hospital, and the doctors conferred with me that she has a facial contusion and head injury.
A head injury?
Yes, ma'am. They said head injury because they said because of her age. Can you hear me?
Yes, head injury where?
Yes, head injury.
Yes, where?
They said that she might have had a concussion, like up in the area, but they said because of her age, they can't test her for concussions.
Okay. All right, let me go in a breakout room and speak with her. All right, can y'all hear me? All right. So, Miss Wade, can you tell me what happened that day? Tell me your version of what happened. You're saying that you took the phone and that was that. You never talked with her. Y'all never got into a fight. There was no altercation. Child never said anything. You don't know what she's talking about. Is that what you're telling me?
There was no altercation. I don't think when I took her phone, she kept saying that I didn't have to give her phone because her dad said that she don't have to give me nothing because he bought the phone.
Oh, okay.
So
Miss Wade, I thought Miss Wade was Miss Wade was in the breakout room. I'm sorry. Hold on for a second.
Okay.
Miss Marshall, can you put Miss Kaylee in the breakout room for me, please?
You want her in the waiting room or the break?
Sorry, the waiting room.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, go ahead and tell me what you say again now.
So when the little boy, when I was telling her, let's get ready to go. And I kept saying, Kelly, let's go. Because her little friend was over. She had a female friend over and she wasn't feeling good. So I was like, I could take her home. And so I was like, Kelly, let's go. So she was on the phone on Instagram. I guess it was a group of people. And that's when I said, Kaylee, let's go. He's like, you need to tell. He's like, Kaylee, who's that? She was like, their mama. He's like, she needs to stay in her effing place. From my yeah, she no tell her that, yeah, he said she needs to tell her F in place. So I'm like, who is he talking to? So I said, Kayla, give me the phone. And she was like, Mama. So I was like, Kayla, just give me the phone. So I got the phone from her. It was no altercation after that.
Okay, so you didn't go in on the child that was on the other end of the phone.
Yes, I said something to him, but Kayla wasn't in the room when I said something to him.
Okay.
I was in the other room.
So did she never try to get the phone back from you?
No.
She never tried to get the phone back from you?
No.
Oh, okay. And there was no other altercation, no other time where you all got into any type of altercation, verbally
No.
or physically?
No. Every time I try to discipline Kayla, she sit there and call her dad and say that I do something to her. It's every time I discipline her, if I don't let her get her way, it's I'm gonna call my dad and say this. It's every time I discipline her. If I take her phone, I'm gonna call my dad and say you did, I'm gonna call my dad. I'm gonna call my dad, or she'll email him and say something. And that's when the police will come to the house. It's every time I sit here and tell her she have to do something, is she if she don't get her way, she just call him. But if I let her get her way, is she just fine.
Okay. So I just spoke with her. And of course she tells a different story than what you're telling. But one of the things that she did acknowledge was that she feels like counseling would help. She does acknowledge that she has anger issues, and that it makes you angry because she is smart at the mouth. She says, at least she says that it triggers you, and she feels like she needs to learn ways how to calm down, because she says that you get triggered when she speaks her mind, and that you and I guess maybe your mother have indicated that, she needs to stop being so angry. One of the other things that she acknowledged that is that you all get into altercations in discipline. She said, like if you'll tell her to clean her room and she doesn't want to do it, y'all get into altercations. She said that y'all got into a fight one time before when she wants to use her iPad or her phone and you don't let her use it. She doesn't believe that you have the authority over the phone and the iPad because it's her dad's. And so she appears to acknowledge that she does tell you those things, that she has those, that she doesn't think you have the authority over those devices. And so she kind of takes up for herself in that regard. So she thinks that's what has caused the last altercations. She says, however, that this is not the first physical altercation, that there have been 3, and she went through them with me: fight over the cleaning of the bedroom, fight over the iPad, fight over the phone. And that she just doesn't get along with you because I guess her dad, she's having a little bit more freedom, kind of speak her mind, but she said that with you, she doesn't. And that you take it quickly and get angry very quickly. It sounds like, you're kind of going through these teenage kind of years. The only problem is that you can't, based on the altercation she just described, it's a little different than a parent and a mom. You got teenagers kind of getting, sly with you, or, and you both of you say the wrong thing or kind of do the wrong thing in like this small moment. She describes an incident that is extended. She doesn't describe an incident where you take the phone, maybe get bothered with her and push her back as she tries to get the phone, because her position is you took the phone, she was trying to get it back from you, and then you pushed her. Okay, I can understand, like you trying to get the phone, you got a teenager trying to get the phone back from you, you're trying to keep her from getting the phone, she falls. Okay, you could probably accept that something like that could simply happen, but that's not where it stopped. According to her, she said that later on, about 30 minutes later, the altercation starts up again when she's asking you for her phone again. And then y'all got into another argument where you physically place your hand over her mouth, later put her in a chokehold and beat her about the face and the body. That's what she's saying happened.
No.
And so I think Mr. Wade said he's going to show me some pictures. I'll take a look at the pictures and let me take a look at what it is. But that's what she said. So the problem is that, you know, you got to have a way of managing teenagers when they're going through these teenage years. You got to have a better way of managing it. You both can't be hotheads, clearly. And so counseling, I think, is appropriate. I'm glad you all have already started it. She said she's actually looking forward to doing it, so that you all can manage each other better, manage to be with each other in a better way. She sounds like she's kind of like glad that maybe you all can have a different way of communicating with each other, because the way y'all are communicating now is going downhill fast, and she kind of sees it and acknowledges it. So Ms. Thomas, I'm not sure exactly what happened between the two of you, but your daughter recognizes that it's causing a lot of strife. And so you guys need to figure this out, and counseling is probably the way to go. So I'm glad you guys are starting it on Monday. I'm going to keep what we have in place. That is that she will remain with dad. And I want to get some counseling underway, and then we'll start back easing into some visitation. I had already met with the girls. I had spoken with them previously, and was about to make some announcements anyway. This is actually not far from the court's original announcement anyway. I had spoken with her. She was very clear she wanted to stay with her dad initially, but that and that's because she doesn't feel like y'all communicate very well with each other. So she's afraid that you all are going to end up butting heads, and apparently it came to a head before the court made any decisions. But that is what she said. She said it even at the time when she was in court with me, that she was worried that y'all were going to butt heads. Now, at that point, she didn't tell me she realized that she had a hot temper or that she had a smart mouth. I don't think she acknowledged that. But today, which is really interesting for her to be 13 and acknowledge that she has a smart mouth, and that is what causes you to get angry quickly. But the problem is that you're getting angry too quickly when you have teenagers, and you're not managing that very well. If the court were to believe what she presented as to this altercation, and you got to learn how to manage your anger when you have someone who is talking back the way she said that she was. Along those lines, Mr. Wade, when you are also managing her, you cannot give a 13-year-old the feeling that she could control her mother based on how you feel like she should control her mother. In other words, she feels very strong that those phones are hers and that device is hers, and that Miss Wade does not have authority over it. And that is coming from you. Like, you're telling her that, and you can't do that. Because what happens is that she's in Miss Wade's home, giving your rules. And then you're gonna have them clashing unnecessarily. You gotta let let your 13-year-old know that if her mom takes the phone for punishment, then that's the phone for punishment. She can't tell her mom, you can't take it. Okay? Because she has the right to parent her child as long as her child is not in danger, as long as it's just for a punishment for purposes for, a few hours, as long as you're still able to contact your child. We got to figure out a way to, and particularly when we're talking about 13 teenagers, they love their devices and they will fight you and hurt you if you take their device from you. I have them at my house, and I know what happens if you try to take a teenager's phone. It's almost if you have disconnected them with the rest of the world, and they will go nuts. But we as parents have to learn how to deal with that and figure out ways of orchestrating ways to punish them appropriately, and not take away from the other parent's ability to parent when you're not there. And so I did find that to be interesting that, she stood by those phones, those devices as being her dad's, and her way of communicating with her dad. So that is something that we need to work on. But I do think that, that was her position, even in the office, without as much clarity as I see now. So that was what the court was going to do anyway. The second thing I was going to do is I talked with Sherry, and Sherry is very clear. She wants to be with her mom. It's not like she has anything negative to say about Mr. Wade. She just does prefer her mom, but she loves her sister and wants to spend as much time with her sister. So that made her torn, because she was like, I feel like my sister, because I didn't tell them, I interviewed them separately. And so I didn't tell them what one person said of the other. She feels like what she said was, I feel like my sister's going to choose my dad. And that means I'm not going to be with my sister. And that makes me sad, because she really wants to spend her time and evening with her sister, but she also wants to be with her mom. And so she's kind of torn. So I think one of the things I was going to do was have, of course, the girls have weekends together. So whichever parent has the child on the weekend, the girls are together on the weekends. And of course, they're together on any holidays. And also anytime that she wants to visit her sister in the evenings and things of that nature, that you all be open to allowing her to do that, so that she can visit, as often as she can. And Miss Thomas, of course, would still have physical custody over her, but that, if she went to go to her dad's house for a few hours, or, stay overnight on a Wednesday night, which of course will also involve on the every other weekends, that she would be able to do that, so that she could spend more time with her sister. So that's essentially what I was going to do anyway. But I think sometimes it is it was just one of those coincidences where you guys came up right at the time where I was about to make that decision anyway. But I'm glad to some extent that it did come up like this, because this is one of the things that the girls foreshadowed, that there was going to be this bumping between mom and 13-year-old daughter, but they didn't tell me why. But now I kind of get a little bit better picture of it, that, you guys got to deal with your quick to anger temper better. And so the counseling, I think, it certainly will be able to do that. But Mr. Wade, do you understand what I'm saying about these devices? Because I don't want you to empower your daughter so much that she can't be parented by her mother. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yes, ma'am, but that's not what I tell her.
Okay, what'd you tell her?
I tell her if she get in trouble, like regardless of what, that's some mama household, so she has to abide by that. I don't tell her that I understand it's my device. I just don't want anything to be broken. But if she's in trouble, like I said, I get her the phone. But my situation is when she doesn't have her phone, I don't really have a way to communicate with her.
Yeah.
So unless I talk to the younger sister, but then the younger sister, become things go wrong with that situation, and I can't contact the kids at all times.
Okay.
The only time I can have a way to communicate with her is via email, or I had to come up to her school.
So let me ask you this, though. If mom were to take the phone from the 13-year-old, you could still call Sherry on her phone, and Sherry could give the phone to your daughter.
And she won't, because
Why
mom tell her.
Mom. Okay,
mom
so if I put something in the order,
let her talk to them, use the phone or anything.
Okay.
And so when they had the altercation and stuff like that, I'm trying to check and see if she's all right. So I have to go to the school and see what's going on with her. I get emails. I don't get that's that. When the phone is gone, there's no communication.
There's no, okay. So if I were to put something in the order that if her phone is taken, vice versa, you could call the other. Mom could not interfere with your ability to check on them, because the punishment, I want you to make sure you understand this, Thomas Wade. The punishment is not to keep them from being able to talk with their dad. The punishment is to keep them from getting on YouTube and having that type of enjoyment, because you want them to feel the consequences of their actions, not be able to talk to their family and friends. It's not for them not be able to communicate with their dad. Okay. Right. If sometimes what will happen is that this apparently did happen in this incident, or at least that's what the child is saying, is that when she got the iPad, this is the second altercation that she alleges, that when she got the iPad, she said, I'm going to call my dad and tell what happened. And Miss Wace, according to the child, said, you're not doing anything right now. You're on punishment. Okay. And so then she said there was this altercation with the iPad. But so what I'm trying to say, though, is that I want to make sure you, Ms. Thomas Wade, understands that the child can have the ability to communicate with her parent. Okay. And now I understand that it might be at that moment you say no, because you're listening to me, I'm disciplining you, but you have to give the child an opportunity at some point to talk to her dad. Like once you're done with, presenting what it is that you want to present, and you're done with the punishment, if she says, can I talk to my dad now? You have to allow that to happen, because it would be almost as if you were both in the same household and, mom did one thing and you were like, okay, but I want to express this to another parent. That child should be able to reach out to that other parent and you not prevent that from happening. And that's vice versa with each of you. So we need to put something in place about how to communicate and how to use these phones and devices so that we're not over empowering the child to feel like she can say no to one parent or the other. Because that is kind of what I just got from that conversation, was that she felt kind of empowered to tell her mom that she could not take the phone from her, that she could not prevent her from talking to you. So when they're fighting, allegedly struggling because she won't she won't allow mom to tell her no. And that's kind of what caused the struggle. It doesn't excuse any Miss Thomas allegedly hitting her, because that's just not appropriate. But it does show that there's something that needs to be handled in the discipline, and you guys got to be on the same page with it. But I'm glad you told me, Mr. Wade, that you don't do that, but somehow that's the message she's getting. So let's just make sure we clarify that, so she knows that when she's at her mom's home, that those rules apply. But I want Miss Thomas Wade to know that that does not prevent her from at some point being able to reach out with her dad and talk to her dad about what occurred. Because I think that, you got to parent together, and you can't, I don't believe in kind of hiding punishments. Like if you're at the house and you punish her and you say she can't go to the movies, but don't tell your dad I didn't let you go to the movies. That to me is ridiculous, So I know sometimes people have these real rules that what happens in my house stays in my house. I get that, but we're talking about the rearing of the child. That is not going to be the case. Now, maybe you won't let her talk about who was at your house, or whatever. But the idea of what goes on to her or what affects that child, we don't do secrets. That doesn't make sense to me. So I just want you to be mindful of that. So for right now, we'll do that. Ms. Thomas Wade, you said that these counseling sessions starts on Monday, and how long are they set to go?
She didn't actually say yet. I think when defects, because I think normally it'd be like a month or two, if I'm not mistaken. Because this will be the second time with defects that we've been on the counseling and therapy.
Okay, so y'all have done this before?
Yes, ma'am. And every time we do it, Kaylee, she get on track, and then it's like for some reason, a couple of years later, she just get off track. Like counseling help. She just it's like when she expresses herself, she prefer, I guess, to express herself when she talking to someone else versus when she talking to me. But counseling help her.
She said that's because you're quick to anger. And so that causes a problem, because you have somebody who's 13 who is strong in her feelings, because sometimes you do have a determined child, which is a good thing to some extent, but she has to understand the level of respect that's necessary for a parent. But all kids aren't always yes ma'am, no ma'am. Someone want to know why. My phone. And when am I going to get it back? Versus you got some kids are like, this is the consequence and deal with it. And you got to realize what kind of kids you got and how you have to manage yourself to be able to parent properly your child.
Yes, ma'am.
So anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. We'll do that temporary order. Ms. Holloway, if you don't mind doing that for me, temporary order indicating that the child will remain in dad's custody. He'll have primary over the child. Ms. Thomas Wade will have primary over Sharia. And for right now, we'll keep there'll be no visitation for the first 6 weeks. So we can give the counseling an opportunity to kind of get in, and then after that, we'll meet back here in 6 weeks, kind of see where we are, then we'll put a permanent plan in place.
Okay. Do you still want me to send over the photos and the documents?
I do. I want to see them so I can make some determinations as to what occurred. Right now, I have what she says. I have what one person says. I have what another person says. They both indicate no one saw it. So I asked her, was there any witnesses? She said no. The friend that was at her house, either she was already gone by the time the altercation occurred. And then she said Sharia. Is it Sharia or Sharia?
Sharia.
I'm sorry.
Sharia.
Sharia was not around. So she said Sharia did not see anything. So all I have is one board over the other. I also take in consideration the police, because the police normally, if they see visible signs of abuse, they have to do something. Apparently, if they didn't do any arrests or make any reports, the concept is at that time they didn't see anything. Although Mr. Way has told me that is completely incorrect and that he saw some things and took her to the doctor's office. So I want to see what it was that Mr. Way saw and what was documented so that I can make some final determinations as to what happened, and put some things in place. Right now, I'm just temporarily erring on the side of caution, at least because they both, at least she has acknowledged that they have some communication issues and they need to work through them so that we don't have altercations, whether there are completely verbal altercations that get out of the way, because those things are just as damaging, or if they're physical altercations that get out of the way. We clearly don't want that. And so that's what we're going to do. We'll get the counseling started. And Ms. Thomas Way, if for some reason, I don't know if you have access to any additional counseling that is not through DFACS, but if that doesn't work and you have some other consideration for counseling through a church or through some other organization that you want to try, we could also do that if for some reason the DFACS doesn't start as quickly or is not as in depth as you think is necessary to help. We could also consider that. I don't know if you don't have any insurance or anything of that nature that we could consider, but I'm also open to that. Mr. Way?
Yes, as far as goes to counseling and stuff like that, because of them not being with me, like insurance can go through me, and my insurance can cover the counseling and stuff like that. Because I do work for the DeKalb County School, so I'll have more access to resources like that for her. So since she's been with me, like I said, I've already contacted the school and stuff like that. So the resources are there. I just have to get everything into play. So with as far as the insurance goes, because she was on Medicaid and stuff like that, I can transfer both of the kids over, but I have to get the information from the mother so I can put them on my insurance.
Okay, that would definitely work. Yeah, we could do that. And if you all, with Miss Holloway, if you don't mind working with Miss Thomas to get that done so that we can get the child on an insurance. But like I said, if DFACS has this counseling and they can get it started quickly, we can do that too. But if it doesn't get started quickly, or y'all are dissatisfied with that, we can consider other options as well. But like I said, my position is that I ultimately have already made a decision on the parenting, but I don't know how we're going to do the actual visitation. And that is what I want to wait on. So we're going to wait 6 weeks on that. But my position is what it is. One daughter will be at Mr. Way, one daughter will be at Ms. Thomas Way. They will meet in between, and I'm going to figure that out based on how this counseling goes. Did you have something else, Mr. Way?
Yes, ma'am. Because this is like how the custody was when they were staying with me. When we had joint, we split the kids up. So Monday through Thursday, the kids will be with me, and on when they out Thursday, she'll come pick them up from school. So we had split them up like that. But as far as when it comes to both, because I want to,
they're not split up. I thought you said they're with you. That's not a split.
No, they was with me, but when they went, on Thursday, she would come pick them up from school, and she'd get both of them. So we never, we didn't separate the kids; they were together like this.
Right, and I think that's what they wanted.
That's what I wanted for them, but the situation is she took the kids from me with no explanation as to why I couldn't see the kids. It took me 2 years to see the kids before we even got to this point. The only reason I got the kids because she had got incarcerated. That's the only reason I saw the kids. I haven't seen the kids in between that. When she took the kids back in May of 21, I didn't see the kids. The kids, the only time I saw the kids when we went to school, when I went up to their school to check on them and have lunch with them. So there was no explanation as to why.
That's not what they told me though. I know that's what you said to me, but when I interviewed them, they did not claim they missed a beat with you. They did. So whatever happened in that time frame that you were saying, the kids said that they saw you just as much as they saw their mom. That's what they said.
No, that can't be that.
I get that, but I'm just telling you what they said. So that's the reason why. Remember at the end when you guys were both telling me, oh no, the kids were primarily with me. The other was like, oh no, the kid was primarily with me. I don't know what you're talking about. I've always had them. I don't know what you're talking about. I always had them. The first thing I did when I interviewed your girls was figure out how much time they spent with each of you. We went through second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. I know we went through several years, at least 4 with the
But
girls.
yeah, but that
They
was
did not indicate that there was this extended period of time where they were not with both of you. So I'm not saying it didn't happen because they were young. So, you know, maybe in their memories, but when they talked to me about it, I came out with this, and I remember coming out with this because it's really funny how you have people talking and you go into the room and you know one of them can't be telling the truth. Like, you know, like you could talk to the kids, you're like, one of y'all ain't telling the truth. This was one of the first times where I left out with going, I don't know what happened here, but there, you know, there was nothing definitively that placed one of you over the other, that they really did feel like they were being parented equally by both of you. There were times where they spent more time with their dad, and there was time where they felt like they spent more time with their mom. That is how they presented it. And so I don't have a guardian ad litem in this case. That was what I had in front of me, and that's what I used. So just so you'll be mindful of that. And then the second thing I talked with them about was their just individual feelings about each of you. Just try to get an idea of what would be best. And let me tell you, I don't split kids up lightly. I do not. I don't really care for splitting children up. It is not something I do. In fact, it's hardly rare for me to do that. Now, attorneys might come to me and they have both attorneys and they've already figured it out and they split it and they ask me to take it or accept it. I talk to the kids, I talk to the parents, and I go, okay, I'll do it. But for me personally, to make a decision to split the kids up on my own, this is probably one of the few, and I've been on the bench for 16 years that I can actually think that I made the decision to do it myself without it being presented by attorney. So I don't take it lightly. Just want you to be mindful of that, okay?
Your Honor, one thing, and I'm not really sure how to address this because I think I recall that we're on YouTube, but there was an accusation that the minor child was pregnant.
Yes, she
said that
she has no idea where that came from.
Okay. She's very concerned about that.
She says maybe somebody got the wrong medical record or misread it. She said she has no idea. She appeared to be genuinely shocked and she was confused. So it looked like maybe Ms. Thomas Way I don't know, whatever you have, Ms. Thomas Way, please share it with Mr. Way. She seems to believe she has no idea how that could even happen. So there you go.
Your Honor, do you want me to send it to Kaylee? Because since I can't contact Mr. Way, you want me to just send it through Kaylee?
Send it Ms. Holloway so Ms. Holloway can have that record and then figure out. But that's what she says. She has no idea how that could be the case.
And I've emailed Ms. Marshall and I copied Ms. Thomas Way with the photos and things we talked about today. So she can just respond back to that email, and then that's with the court as well as with me.
Okay. All right, then. So there we are for now. And we will meet back here in 6 weeks to finalize everything. And that's basically in the finalization, we're going to talk about communication piece, the phone, how we're going to handle that, how we're going to do holidays, how we're going to do the midday visitation or something of that nature. So I'm trying to give the girls as much time as possible with each other, but also to make sure that they're comfortable in their situation. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys back here in 6 weeks or so. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.